has no physical control over the output of its...
The worst part about trying stand-up comedy isn't being bad. It's being bad in public.
So I'm reading Owen Wilson's new book on acting. It's called How to Destroy the Emotional Connection of Any Scene by Shrugging Incessantly.
How many people would sit and learn the guitar if a bunch of strangers had to hear you every time you failed a chord? Babies spend their first year learning what they should put in their mouth. Comedians spend that first year learning what should come out. When I started, I didn't mind humiliation, but I was always itching to see my progress. I knew I was terrible. All I wanted was an ounce of quantifiable proof that I was paying for gas, parking, and a drink at the bar to be getting less terrible.
Like, you know you're getting old when there are places that you won't go because you don't like the parking lot.
Now I'm 5 years in.
First year that I did comedy, I didn't know what comics were doing when they acknowledged the light. I thought they were just really confident about that one joke. The first time I saw it, I was like, that's why it smells like cheese, everybody.
And I don't have it all figured out, but I do have hundreds of hours of footage sprawled out over half a decade, and I decided to take some time to compile and analyze the evolution of my writing and performance for two reasons: sheer unbridled narcissism, follow me on Twitter, but also to maybe help newer comics who were as in the dark as I was to see that yes, things do take shape over time. Let's jump in. Also, side note, even 5 years in, sometimes you're still terrible.
I'm going to keep telling that joke because my favorite part about that is if you were around when I wrote it, you would have seen me on the subway stare off for 10 seconds, laugh, and then write butterfly dick in a notebook. Proud of that.
Hey, before I forget, best porn name I ever heard, My Dick's as Hard as Algebra. I really love it.
Oh, Jesus. My first dozen times on stage, I don't really count. I'd go up about once a month or so whatever experience I gained was pretty much gone by the time I got home.
When you walk into the 99-cent store, you're going to look at an item and you're going to think one of two things. You're either going to think, A, how the fuck is anybody going to be fooled into thinking that this piece of shit is going to do when it's advertising for 99 goddamn cents? Or, how the fuck is this only 99 cents?
Thanks to my theater background, I wasn't nervous, though behind the eyes, I was self-aware that my material was terrible. Basically observational monologues in lieu of jokes.
Dear Blockbuster Video, I hope this letter finds you well.
Any reaction I did get, I recognized as that of my friends laughing out of pity.
I wish I was one of those old-time pun comedians. Remember those guys? The ones who wore the suit? I would always do the joke that doesn't get the laugh and then immediately chastise the audience by reminding them that they just told a joke. As you know, they were like, hey, you guys saw About Schmidt, right? Well, apparently he's doing the sequel where he just craps his pants for 2 hours. It's called About Shit. These are jokes, folks. Hey, bada bing, bada boo.
But things changed when I finally committed to stand-up. I do at least a mic a day, and as soon as I socialized with other comics, my material improved on account of now I had someone to impress.
Feel like I'm starting to get a little older, a little wiser, a little more mature. I was listening to the Beach Boys today, and I actually thought to myself, you know what? I'm actually glad her daddy took the T-bird away.
I didn't know how to write relatable premises, so I decided relatable premises were hack. Hence, sometimes I'd go too highbrow or meta or both.
I'm a fan of this first moment when we haven't established if I'm any good yet. Like, what if I was doing this? You're like, oh shit, the sophisticate. What do you say, guys? If Marcel Duchamp, if he knew how to draw clothes maybe a little better, you think his cubist masterpiece would have been Prude descending a staircase number 2? What?
The last few years have been me chipping away at the confidence to be more relatable while still being me.
They're always like that. They're like the Flatiron Building where man entered the 20th century. Not to me. That's where I saw a man enter a Raggedy Ann doll.
Men we're simple creatures. Give me a movie with answering simple. Who's in the movie? Rocky. Oh. Where does the movie take place? The bridge on the River Kwai. Got it. Sometimes you get two answers in one. Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Apocalypse when? Now! That's great.
Like, a date with me is like the end of one of those drug commercials where they're telling you the side effects. So, listen, Dave may not be right for everybody. Because of his anxiety, arguing with Dave can cause dizziness, dry Because of his fear of commitment, you should not date Dave if you were pregnant or plan to become pregnant. Not a monster.
And this is pretty much where I am now, proud of my progress, but never really content.
That's a regional thing right there. This is how we do it in the city. It's a higher sales tax, and you tip a dry cleaner, and anyone who can't keep up dies where they fell. Come on. Let's go get Shake Shack. Like someone told me the other day, they're like, Charles Dickens wrote 15 novels. What a work ethic. I'm like, yeah. Kind of helped that his typewriter didn't also have porn on it. Because let's be honest, how far would he have gotten, really? If he was just like, it was the best of times, everybody gone, loose corsets.
Thank you for watching. Before I go, I thought I'd intercut between a date story from my first open mic when I decided that stand-up was pure self-expression, to another date story from one of my more recent sets, where I try to take into account the biggest thing that I have learned since starting stand-up. That stand-up comedy is not pure self-expression. It's a communion with the audience. It's still your perspective, just tweaked slightly so a room full of strangers can enjoy it too.
My thing is I just went on this date with this girl, and she took me to a museum.
I went out with somebody recently, and we sat down, and the first thing she said was, I'm Michelle, and I'm a Libra. All right, I'm Dave, and I'm pulling away from you emotionally.
And all I did was feel bad for the mummies. And don't worry, I'll tell you why.
When did we decide that astrology is like first date conversation? Yeah. I've got weird beliefs too, but that's not what I open with. How would she feel? I'm like, you look really nice. So who in Congress do you think's in the Illuminati? Yeah. And hopefully she yells it just like that.
We deemed it acceptable for a guy to say, okay, there is a person buried here in strict accordance with his culture's beliefs about the afterlife. I'm taking this.
You said that too quick, sir. You were waiting for something. I hope they mention the Illuminati tonight.
I'm taking it. We got to learn about this guy's culture. Yeah, his culture's written in fucking hieroglyphics on the wall behind you. Yeah, but this will be really cool. Here, hold his skull.
You ever bring up the lizard men next to?
Yeah, that's the second part of the joke, but I won't do it now.
But what we do is we just put him up and we say it's education. And we just make people stare at him.
InfoWars.
Yeah, all right. Let's all just talk about conspiracy theories for the rest of this set. And then after the show, let's go to karaoke. Anybody else?
No, I'm not there yet.
Jet fuel can't melt steel beams.
But it's 5 years well spent.